How many times have you jumped into a new health program? You know, you're full of hope, you're full of excitement, and this time you honestly believe that it's going to be different than all the other times that you have done a program, whether it's a diet protocol or a new exercise routine. But somewhere along the way, something happens. I used to think that my body changes meant that something was wrong with me until I realized they were messages, signals, leading me to more energy, clarity, and a deeper sense of freedom. I'm Stephanie, a women's health mentor, holistic nutrition coach, and energy practitioner. I help women over 40 decode their symptoms and hormones and trust their body's wisdom so they can feel, look, and sleep their best. In the You Being You podcast, we're not here for quick fixes or one-size-fits-all solutions. This is where science meets intuition, where we get to rewrite the old stories about aging, and where you get to take back your power one small step at a time. Join me and my guests each week as we uncover the missing links to your symptoms, dive deep into the mind-body connection, and explore how to thrive naturally at every stage of life. Your body is beautiful and it knows what it's doing. Get ready to unlock the energy you've been missing and have fun along the way. Pull up a seat. This is the You Being You podcast. Welcome back to the You Being You podcast, the podcast where we decode the mystery, the science, and the magic of being over 40, 50, 60, and really wherever you are in life. Here we use your body's signals as the map. I'm Stephanie Huntjens White, and I'm your women's health mentor, wellness stylist, and holistic health coach. And today we're talking about something that might hit a little close to home. How many times have you jumped into a new health program? You know, you're full of hope, you're full of excitement, and this time you honestly believe that it's going to be different than all the other times that you have done a program, whether it's a diet protocol or a new exercise routine. But somewhere along the way, something happens. Maybe you lose your spark. Maybe you actually lose a little bit of weight. Maybe you start sleeping a little bit better. Your energy even perks up. But somewhere along the way, something gets in the way. And I don't know if it's maybe we get bored or distracted or overwhelmed by the new process, and it's just easier to go back to doing it the way we had always been doing it. I know, I've been there, and so many of the women inside my Flourish Academy feel the same way. So many of us have done the same thing. But what if it's not actually about you? What if it's not your willpower or your body being a jerk? Maybe it's the program that you've tried, that you were attracted to at first, and then that's actually what's failing you. That the whole thing was built around you looking better rather than feeling better. Now you're left kind of wondering, why was I interested in that program in the first place? Today we're talking about something that so many women struggle with, but we rarely talk about it out loud. The tug-of-war about how you want to look versus how do you actually want to feel. Especially when the program you've tried does not reflect your rhythms, your reality, or even like who you are and how you show up in the world. And if you're someone who finds comfort in structure, in beauty, in getting things kind of just right, maybe you're living in what traditional Chinese medicine calls the energetic imprint of the metal type. And that might be exactly why you feel stuck. I had a client whose name is Laura. I'm going to call her Laura. She was 42 at the time, a hairdresser, an esthetician, and she's truly an artist when it came to creating beauty with her hands. She loved making women feel special and had built this beautiful, beautiful salon out in the countryside. And she loved helping women really feel special when they came into her salon. And she wanted them to feel special from the outside in and from the inside out. But when the world shut down in 2020, her salon, like so many salons around the world, closed. And what ended up happening in this industry in particular was the closures didn't just happen once. They happened multiple times. Disappointment, openings, closings over and over again. And we all know what that felt like. But for Laura in particular, she felt like everything that she loved was literally slipping away. Her career, her creativity, her connection to the women that she loved to be with so much. We are energetic beings and she loved being in their space. And suddenly she was all by herself. And she came to me in the thick of perimenopause, overwhelmed by fatigue, sugar cravings, and the sleep disruptions. She was gaining a little bit of weight and she had a sense that she and her body were disconnected and her body had become something of a battleground. She told me, I feel like I'm constantly negotiating with myself, just trying to get through the day. That's not the way any of us want to feel, right? I know underneath it, she felt like she was missing feeling like her old self. Laura had tried to push her way through. That's why she came to me. She had followed fitness accounts, tried the restrictive plans, tried the old things, but the old things were no longer working. She had forced herself into workouts that just honestly left her feeling depleted at the end of the day. But the real problem for her was not willpower. Absolutely not willpower. She was so motivated, but it wasn't working. Women with mental energy crave control, especially when life feels chaotic. But the grief of what she had lost, her energy, her identity, her rhythms, needed space to move, not more rules to contain it. She could clearly see that she was actually almost punishing herself for watching other women on social media. She would watch them, and normally she'd feel positive and say, look at you rocking it. Look, you're amazing. But social media was starting to trigger her, and she realized that. And she said, normally, I am not a negative person, and it just feels weird for me to be getting angry at seeing the success of other women. It was really, really hard for her, a really hard time for her to go from being normally a really positive person and having to handle this new pressure and the stress of running a business suddenly put on hold. Laura was trying to fix what she thought was broken. So we buckled down on helping her understand what her body was actually trying to say rather than fixing it. Rather than chasing how she wanted to look, we focused on why she wanted to feel the way she wanted to feel and how she wanted to feel, really how to help her feel whole again. This is where I see so many women get stuck, especially women with mental energy. They crave control when life feels chaotic, but the grief of what's been lost, the energy, your identity, your rhythms need space to move, not more rules to contain it. So where did we start? We started super simple. We focused on what she could control and what was the most important to her. Those were the two things we focused on. We based her focus on what made her tick, on who she was, and her most important goal, her family values. So we started with her mornings. She loves to take a little bit of quiet time before the house gets awake and before the house gets busy. While Laura's salon was closed, school was still on, and she still wanted to have some routines in her life. So she enjoyed getting up and moving her body, especially through workouts that helped her feel strong and productive because that's who she is. But during this time, when her nervous system was worn thin, we pulled it back a little bit because of the salon closures, the financial strain, the hormonal shifts that she was feeling. We had to approach it differently. Instead of cutting movement out altogether, we simplified it. We kept her mornings, but shifted the intensity. She still wanted to burn off cortisol and stay active, but her body needed signals of steadiness. So we chose movement that worked with her cycle and her stress load, not against it. Gentle strength was really our goal. It was less about pushing harder and more about giving her body what it needed to feel safe enough to heal. We started her with metabolic workouts, which I gave her access to. That is a series of workouts you do 3 times a week for 20 minutes. They are built for women, not for men, which is very, very important. The workouts honored her so that she had a way to burn off some of her worry energy, but not burn out her reserves. She balanced those workouts with restorative work, things like sitting with her morning coffee outside, to sit in the sun and watch the countryside. She also adjusted her workouts to match her hormonal rhythm with her cycles. During her period and the first half of her cycle, we added strength-based energizing movement to boost endorphins and circulate her energy. The second half of her cycle, we'd switch to more restorative time and made adjustments by listening to her body's clues. She even once told me that normally she would have beaten herself up for not pushing through the fatigue, and her brain would have said, oh, you're hurting yourself by not pushing. But she started to give herself permission to do things like stretching and yoga. And now she knew she was actually supporting herself, not punishing herself. One of the key values for Laura is her family and being a great mom, which she is to her 2 children. So we made family time a priority in her goals, and every day she made sure that she took the time out to put her kids on the school bus to see them off to school. She was setting the foundation that she hadn't previously had the time to take, but now we were making it part of her day while the world was returning to normal routines. Since Laura is already a really good cook and makes healthy meals in her kitchen, she already had a really good handle on nutrition. And she had done a lot of work already on what foods added energy into her body and which foods depleted her body and stole energy from her body. Instead of restricting food, we focused on fueling with protein and complex carbs and not using food as a weapon, but actually as an energy source. We tracked her sleep, her hunger, her moods, her energy, and her cravings, especially around the full moon and her cycle's peaks. But perhaps the biggest shift, we gave her permission to reconnect with herself and with other women. That part of her that she loved creating beauty finally had room to breathe again, especially when her salon began to reopen. Laura didn't become a new person. She remembered who she already was. The structure of her new routine supported her, not chasing a perfect body, but reclaiming her energy, her joy, and her power. This is what happens when we stop forcing ourselves into programs that don't reflect our truth. And when you're wired with metal energy, the path to healing isn't about pushing harder. It's about finding structure that aligns with your natural cycles and letting go of everything that no longer serves you. If you've been feeling low, scattered, stuck in cycles of kind of self-punishment maybe, if you've jumped into programs with hope and excitement and you feel like you've lost yourself somewhere in there along the way, it's not your fault. Most systems are designed about outcomes that ignore who you are. If you're a metal type, sustainable healing doesn't start in spring. It actually begins in the winter, in the quiet, in the dark, beneath the surface. By planting seeds now, they can start to grow and simmer. Just like a tulip bulb, they rest and root and take the pressure off the need to bloom right away. Because when you learn how your body communicates, when you understand your energy type, your way of moving through the world, you stop forcing growth. You trust the timing. You learn that winter is sacred, not broken. And before you know it, something inside you begins to shift. It's time to stop asking, how do I look? And start asking, how do I want to feel? And if you're ready to start exploring your own rhythms, your energy type, and the signals your body's been trying to send you, I'd love for you to take the free Hidden Clues quiz and discover your energy type to unlock what makes you, well, you, and match the solutions to, again, you. You'll find the link in the show notes. And don't forget, your body isn't broken. It's not trying to be a jerk. It's just trying to get your attention. And when you start listening, everything shifts. And if you've been craving a path that actually feels good, not just looks good, I'll hope you stick around here. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode of the You Being You podcast. Thanks for listening to this episode of the You Being You podcast. If you found something helpful, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And if you're loving the podcast, I'd be so grateful if you left a review. It helps more women like you tune in and trust their wisdom. Speaking of wisdom, your body is always giving you clues. And if you're curious about what they're saying, take the Hidden Clues quiz. It's a fun way to unlock your energy type and get some answers. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're ready for deeper support, the Flourish Academy is where we do this work together, helping women 40 plus feel better, have more energy, and actually enjoy their bodies again. I'll add a link to learn more in the show notes. Until next time, keep trusting yourself and keep being you.